Hello guys, welcome to yet another marvelous video. Today we're going to talk about a character who's finally about to make his first appearance in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Well, it's not like he hasn't before, but this one feels special. He's big, he's kind of orange, and he's packing some serious punch. That's right, we'll be diving into the anatomy and legacy of the Thing, aka Ben Grimm, the muscle of the Fantastic Four. Buckle up, because it's clobberin time. What is Ben Grimm's origin, and how did he become the Thing? Before Ben Grimm became the Thing, he was an astronaut and a test pilot for the US Air Force. He was born and raised on Yancey Street in Manhattan's Lower East Side, where he lived in poverty. Grimm grew up with an alcoholic father who couldn't hold a job, relying on his older brother Daniel for income through illegal means as leader of the Yancey Street gang. When Daniel was killed in a gang battle, Grimm became resentful against the world. And that should be the case since he was only 8 years old at the time. Within 10 years, Grimm succeeded his brother as the leader of the Yancey Street gang. After his parents died, he was taken in by his uncle Jake, a successful physician. Initially resistant to their kindness, Grimm eventually returned their love. He entered high school, left the Yancey Street gang behind, and became a football star. In his senior year at Stuyvesant High School, Ben got a football scholarship to State University in Hegeman, New York, where he earned the nickname Grim Reaper. Grimm's freshman roommate was the brilliant Reed Richards, who became his closest friend. During their first meeting, Richards revealed his dream of building a starship for interstellar travel, to which Grimm jokingly promised to pilot if he ever succeeded. After graduating, Grimm joined the US Air Force, becoming a skilled fighter pilot, test pilot, and astronaut. Meanwhile, Richards pursued his Starship project with personal funds and government support. On Grimm's last day in the military, Richards appeared and reminded him of his promise back in college to pilot the spaceship. Richards' project in Central City, California, faced federal funding threats, prompting him to arrange a test flight of the Starship. Despite Grimm's concerns about radiation storms, he agreed to pilot the ship. Richards' future wife Susan and her brother Johnny insisted on joining. The four friends sneaked into the launch facility, launched the Starship, and aimed to travel through hyperspace to another solar system. However, they encountered unexpectedly intense cosmic rays during the journey. This is what comic readers see when they read the first issue of Fantastic Four, released in 1961. The ship was designed specifically to shield them against ordinary radiation, but intense cosmic rays radiated the four passengers and disrupted the ship's controls. Pilot Grimm had to abort the flight and return to Earth, where they slowly realized that the radiation had caused mutagenic changes in their bodies. Unlike the others, Ben's transformation was very different. He changed into a thick-skinned, orange-colored creature with heavy muscles and superhuman strength. Richards got the other three on board with the idea that they should use their new abilities to help people out. So they decided to join forces and call themselves the Fantastic Four. Richards named himself Mr. Fantastic. Susan and Johnny Storm chose the names Invisible Girl, later changed to Invisible Woman, and the Human Torch. Grimm, unhappy with his new ugly appearance, named himself the Thing. Under Richards' leadership, the Fantastic Four has become the most respected group of superheroes on Earth and has saved the world from being taken over or destroyed countless times. Their arrival marked the beginning of the modern superhero era.
Be a problem!
How big and heavy is the Thing? What is his body made of? The Thing stands as one of the strongest individuals on the planet, perhaps only behind Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk. His unique form enables him to lift almost 100 tons, endure extreme temperatures, and survive powerful energy blasts and explosive detonations. After his transformation, Ben Grimm stands almost 6 feet tall, making him shorter than the Hulk, who's typically between 7 and 8 feet tall, depending on the incarnation. The Thing weighs about 1,000 pounds, or 450 kilograms, not just because of sheer muscle, but because of his body's hyperdense biomineral physiology. Ben's body is extremely dense, akin to compact rock or metal alloys, making him approximately twice as heavy as a small car. So when the Hulk knocks him into the ocean, he sinks straight to the bottom like a boulder, which really shows just how heavy he is. He cannot swim because of his size. He often cracks pavements and dense floors just by walking. However, despite being heavy, he is surprisingly quick for his weight. Many people think Ben is made of stone, but that's not exactly true. His transformation from cosmic rays resulted in a biomineralized epidermis, which essentially gave him skin resembling living stone. Reed Richards explains that Ben's body consists of a living rock-like substance that regenerates slowly but is biologically functional. The Fantastic Four, written by Jonathan Hickman, also describes the Thing's body as not being made of stone, but of an organic material. His skin is flexible, like muscle, and has a protective outer layer made of minerals. This skin acts like a hybrid of granite and keratin, giving him hardness and resistance like a rock, while also possessing some flexibility and slow healing properties similar to those of horn or nail tissue. Once, when Ben was exposed to a micronuclear explosion, he survived with only minor burns, showing how his tough skin absorbs shockwaves and heat effectively. How strong is the Thing compared to other Marvel characters? The Thing is one of Marvel's most reliable heavy hitters. Even though he's an underrated character who gets less attention than the Hulk or Thor, his strength is on point and can hold its own against the best of them. Marvel handbooks state that the Thing can lift or press 85 tons in normal conditions. However, this strength can change based on his emotions as well as based on the writer's narrative. They frequently push this number higher based on Ben's adrenaline, rage, or desperation. Like the Hulk, Ben gets stronger under extreme stress. In Fantastic Four numbers 25 to 26, released in 1964, we see the first major fight between the Hulk and the Thing. The Hulk wins, but Ben lasts longer than any average person could. In Fantastic Four number 112, released in 1971, one of Ben's most famous fights with the Hulk shows Ben holding his own long enough to knock the Hulk through various properties, which shouldn't be possible given his normal strength. Their fights show Ben's strength, endurance, and willpower. In Fantastic Four number 320, released in 1988, Ben appears in a stronger form, often referred to as Thing 2.0, and possesses superior strength, powerful enough to weaken the Grey Hulk in a tough battle taking place in New York City. The Thing almost had him and was about to throw the finishing blow when the Green Hulk showed up. Even Thor, the god of thunder from Asgard, has fought Ben multiple times. In Thor number 207 from 1973, Thor and the Thing spar, and Thor admits that Ben is one of the few mortals he hesitates to fight seriously. In Fantastic Four number 73 from 1968, Thor, Daredevil, and Spider-Man mistakenly battle the Fantastic Four. Ben holds his ground, even catching Mjolnir, Thor's hammer, for a moment. Ben has never defeated Thor, but he can take direct hits from Mjolnir and still get back up, which is impressive compared to most heroes on Earth. In Fantastic Four number 100, Ben fights hundreds of clones or duplicates of enemies on his own while supporting a collapsing structure. Many characters in Marvel have great powers, but the Thing often faces tougher opponents and survives. In Secret Wars number 12 from 1985, the Thing punches a powered-up Doctor Doom and leaves a dent in his armor. In Infinity War number 5 from 1992, he helps take down Magus, an evil cosmic being, as part of the final attack. Even though Ben isn't a cosmic being, neither is he gamma-powered, and nor does he wield divine hammers. But if we're being real, street-level-wise, he's definitely at the top of the list when it comes to his strength. What are the Thing's durability and pain threshold levels? Ben Grimm's iconic strong orange skin is like a protective barrier. Ben can withstand almost anything and is nearly bulletproof. In fact, regular bullets don't even scratch him. His rocky skin may seem hard, but it is flexible, allowing him to move easily. Once a SWAT team opens fire on the Thing, the bullets just bounce off his chest with no visible effect. Even armor-piercing rounds and tank shells have no effect. He walks through enemy fire like it's a light drizzle. Fun fact, his skin's density is so high that it can withstand even Hulk's punches. Ben is highly resistant to heat, including direct flames, plasma, and molten lava, which shows only one thing: his tolerance to extremely high temperatures. Even for fun, when Human Torch unleashes a full-power flame blast, Ben walks through it unscathed. teasing Johnny the entire time. He can endure high levels of explosives as well, such as the armor-piercing bazooka shells. He's even been shown to withstand a blast from Galactus, a powerful being whose blast is capable of splitting planets in two. Another fun fact, because the cosmic rays gave him his powers, Ben was able to uphold raw cosmic energy, which also has the power to split planets. His exceptional willpower also allows him to endure significant pain and continue fighting. A prime example of this is when during the fight with the champions of the universe, Ben's resilience and refusal to give up led the champion to forfeit, admitting he could break every bone in the thing's body, but none of those would break his spirit. It is possible to breach his exterior, and that happened in Fantastic Four, issue 374, released in 1993. Here, Wolverine's adamantium claws cut through the thing's rocky hide, causing a facial injury. Even though Ben's durability is renowned in the Marvel Universe, it seems like adamantium is capable of overcoming his defenses. Does the Thing heal or regenerate like Wolverine or Hulk? No. The Thing's healing ability is not as fast or extensive or superhuman as the healing powers of the Hulk or Wolverine. Ben Grimm is very tough, but he heals much more slowly. Wolverine and Hulk can quickly heal from injuries and even grow back lost limbs or organs if needed. Wolverine's healing ability is so strong that he can recover from severe injuries like being burned to a crisp. The Hulk can heal even more effectively, allowing him to recover from being torn apart and even regenerate his whole body. But that doesn't mean Grimm doesn't heal. The Thing's rocky epidermis is composed of organic biomineral material, which does regenerate over time, albeit very slowly, much like stone reforming under geological pressure or keratin regrowth. One can say that this healing process is closer to that of a normal human or a slightly enhanced human. For instance, when he broke his arm, the healing took several months. He can't regenerate lost limbs or organs. Some wounds are too severe for Ben to recover from naturally, especially when chunks of his rocky form are lost. Severe injuries may require Reed Richards' tech or magical intervention. When Wolverine's attack left a scar on Thing's face, he was seen wearing a helmet to cover his damaged face and was ultimately fixed with magic, as natural healing would have taken much longer. Does the Thing ever turn back into Ben Grimm? Has he had any evolved forms or second mutations? Yes, but very rarely has the Thing experienced transformation back to his human form throughout the comic book history. He's also undergone secondary mutations, especially in the Ultimate Marvel Universe. In the early days, Ben Grimm was able to revert due to some serum or cure concocted by Reed. Sue Storm and Reed Richards' child, Franklin Richards, used his reality warping powers to help Ben Grimm transform back to his human form. In fact, Franklin's sister, Valeria, has also created formulas to aid in Ben's transformation. When with Hulk, whether fighting or teaming up, the exposure to gamma radiation also caused him to revert to his human form, as seen in issue 112 of Fantastic Four. When he began dating Alicia Masters and fell in love with her, he developed a mental block that made it difficult for him to revert to his human form permanently, as he feared Alicia would only love him as the Thing. During Secret Wars 2 and Marvel 2-in-1, he occasionally regained human form, but rejected it. Another fun fact, Franklin and Valeria created a concoction that allows Ben to transform into his human form for 1 week every year. In the main Marvel Universe, Ben experienced a secondary mutation when he was exposed to cosmic rays for the second time, along with Sharon Ventura. In Fantastic Four number 310, his body further mutated into a larger, spikier form with rough edges, which also increased his strength. In New Fantastic Four issue 1, released in 1999, he became more spiky and armored. In the 2015 Secret Wars The Shield, Doom creates a patchwork reality known as Battle World, and the Shield is a massive wall surrounding it. The Shield is none other than the Thing, who evolved into a literal mountain-sized form controlled via his will. In fact, when Skadi released the Serpent, he summoned the Hammers of the Worthy to Earth. One of these hammers landed on Yancey Street and turned the Thing into Angrer, Breaker of Souls. After Yancey Street was destroyed, the Future Foundation tried to save Ben's mind. However, he was too powerful for them to stop. This was one of the scariest transformations of the Thing. Can the Thing be killed or crushed? Ben Grimm is not immortal, but he is in the Marvel Universe. His body is made strong by cosmic radiation, giving him some serious durability. However, he can still be injured, overwhelmed, and even killed in extreme situations. There were some close calls for Ben, like when Thanos used the Infinity Gauntlet and changed reality, which had directly affected the Thing. Annihilus, the ruler of the Negative Zone, has immense control over cosmic energy and powerful armies of insectoids. His Negative Zone environment and cosmic control rod are capable of weakening Thing's defenses, which makes him vulnerable. Ben doesn't break easily, as we said, but being overwhelmed by high-level cosmic forces is the one place where he can be killed or crushed. What does the Thing look like beneath his rocky skin? We know the Thing has a tough orange rock-like skin that seems unbreakable and impenetrable. However, there have been rare times in Marvel comic book history when it has been shattered or peeled away, usually from a powerful punch by the Hulk or a slash from Wolverine. When this happens, what's beneath is not more rock or armor, but raw pink flesh and muscle. This is unsettling because Ben Grimm's insides appear disturbingly human, with muscle tissue exposed and no protective layer between the rocky shell and his vulnerable interior. In Fantastic Four number 13, which came around in 2019, after a fierce fight with the Hulk, pieces of Ben's rocky skin are knocked off, showing his pink, fleshy inside, similar to seeing raw muscle under torn skin. Earlier stories, like Fantastic Four number 374, have also revealed Ben's soft pink flesh when Wolverine slashed his face. These moments highlight that Ben is not just a creature made of rock, but a man trapped in a living mineral shell, with his humanity just below the surface. How does Ben Grimm cope with his transformation? Ben's transformation into the Thing was sudden and extreme, as we all know, due to the cosmic rays. Ben's transformed appearance has been a constant source of self-consciousness, which has often led to feelings of depression. He thinks of himself more like a thing than a dude, and sees his change as a curse, not some kind of superpower. Ben uses his battle cry, "It's clobberin' time," and a tough but funny personality to hide his inner struggles. He pretends to be brave, even though he is struggling within. In the early days after his transformation, Ben often wore a trench coat and hat to cover his body from the public because he felt like a spectacle. He even took the name The Thing without any thought after Sue Storm's comment and embraced it out of self-loathing. Despite his struggles and pain, Ben dedicated himself to helping others through his role in the Fantastic Four and other superhero teams like the Avengers. His strength and durability allow him to defend the innocent and battle powerful threats. He uses his experiences with hard times and self-doubt to connect with others who face similar challenges, making him a deeply relatable and compassionate hero. Does the Thing age, or is he functionally immortal? Ben Grimm's rocky physiology significantly slows down his aging process. Although he's not truly immortal, his body doesn't age in the traditional sense while he remains in his rocky form as the Thing. You can say that he is virtually immortal when in this form, as he only ages when he reverts back to his human form. Franklin Richards created a formula that lets Ben Grimm become human for 1 week each year. This formula also slows down his aging, making him age much slower than other people. As a result, he unfortunately outlived his teammates, friends, and loved ones in one particular storyline. In Fantastic Four number 605, Reed Richards and his father Nathaniel travel thousands of years into the future and find Ben still alive. In some alternate futures, like Earth 12665, Ben Grimm is the last living member of the original Fantastic Four. He carries on the legacy of the Fantastic Four and the Future Foundation for centuries with Franklin Richards, who also has a form of immortality. This makes Ben's story more meaningful. While he is very strong and tough, his immortality forces him to watch time pass and lose loved ones, which adds depth to his heroic journey. One comic story shows Ben Grimm finally dying of old age in the year 6012 AD, after living for thousands of years as the Thing. Has anyone else become the Thing? Over the decades, a few characters have temporarily or permanently gained powers similar to those of the Thing. One notable example is Sharon Ventura, also known as Miss Marvel, who became She-Thing during a mission alongside Ben Grimm. While taking on the Arabic cyber-terrorist Fassad, the Thing and Miss Marvel had to hop onto one of his space shuttles. They managed to defeat him up in space, but their shuttle took a real beating in the process. In the end, it crash-landed somewhere in the jungles of Wakanda in Africa. As the shuttle descended to Earth, the passengers were hit by cosmic rays. After the crash, the Thing became even more mutated, while Sharon changed into a form that looked like Ben's original appearance as the Thing. Similarly, Rogue of the X-Men, a mutant who can absorb powers and memories through touch, took Ben's powers and appearance temporarily in Fantastic Four vs. X-Men Issue 2. These stories, featuring others experiencing the Thing's powers, highlight Ben Grimm's extraordinary resilience. Sharon coming to terms after her transformation and Rogue's temporary absorption highlight the difficulties of physical change. Ben deals with these challenges while staying a heroic and caring person. This shows his strong character and makes him one of Marvel's most loved heroes. What are his relationships like within the Fantastic Four? Ben sees the Fantastic Four as his real family, and he considers Reed his best friend. They formed a strong bond in college, which has been tested many times during their adventures, but has always held strong. Sometimes, Ben feels resentment towards Reed through sarcasm, because if Reed hadn't secretly experimented with the space shuttle, Ben wouldn't have turned into a huge giant rock. Ben once had a crush on Sue Storm Richards, but she became one of the few people who truly understands the man behind his rocky appearance. He remains caring and protective of Sue. Ben and Johnny often tease each other and pull pranks, but they would do anything for one another. He also helps Johnny during his solo adventures. Ben is like a beloved uncle to Reed and Sue's children, Franklin and Valeria. Franklin's middle name is Benjamin, named after the Thing. You could say they are one big surrogate family. Who is Alicia Masters, and why is she so important to the Thing? Ben Grimm falls in love with Alicia Masters early in the Fantastic Four's story. When he meets her, Ben starts to see his situation differently. Alicia is a blind sculptor who has a calm personality and can understand people deeply, despite not being able to see them. She loves Ben for who he is, not for how he looks. However, this makes Ben think that she loves him for being a monster, not as a man. Because of this, he feels hesitant to change back into his original human form. Ben and Alicia's relationship lasted a long time, but it also faced many ups and downs. Their challenges included the alien Silver Surfer forming a bond with Alicia when he first came to Earth. Alicia's stepfather, Philip Masters, also known as the Puppet Master, attacked Ben multiple times because he did not approve of their love. Ben struggled with his own insecurities, feeling unworthy of Alicia's love and fearing that she might leave him because of his monstrous appearance as the Thing. For a while, Ben and Alicia's relationship came to an end when Ben chose to stay on Battleworld for some personal reflection and exploration following the conclusion of the first Secret Wars. However, no matter the distance, they always managed to find each other and reignite their love. Ultimately, Grimm proposes to Alicia, and the two finally tie the knot as husband and wife in Fantastic Four number 645. What were the Thing's most famous fights? The Thing and the Hulk have one of the most famous rivalries in Marvel Comics. They fight each other often because of their great strength and Ben's goal to prove he's the strongest one there is. In the Fantastic Four, their fight takes up a whole issue. The Thing manages to keep up for a bit by using his quickness and nearby objects, like buildings and bridges, to dodge the Hulk and stop him from getting a strong grip. In Incredible Hulk number 350, which is a continuation of the number 320 story, Ben was about to deliver a finishing blow to Grey Hulk when the Green Hulk shows up. Thinking that he is the real Hulk, Ben starts going after the Green Hulk. This provides a moment of reprieve to Grey Hulk, who recovers his energy and gets ready to fight back. When the Thing realizes the Green Hulk isn't the real one, he tears him apart and moves towards the real Hulk, who by then has changed tactics and come up with a plan to defeat the Thing. He employs guerrilla-style tactics, such as hiding, attacking, and hiding back again. While the Thing is stronger than the Hulk, he lacks the endurance and speed to match him. The Hulk patiently employs this pattern to wear down the Thing gradually. The Thing realizes this late, and before he can do anything, the Hulk lands the final knockout punch. One thing's for sure, whenever the Thing faces off against the Hulk, their battles are truly exciting. No matter how powerful the Hulk is, the Thing's unwavering determination makes each fight memorable. He never gives up, even when the odds are against him. The champion of the universe is a powerful elder of the universe who has defeated many opponents. Ben decides to fight him in a boxing match as a bold act of self-confidence. This happens in Marvel 2-in-1 Annual number 7. Despite being outmatched, Ben refuses to give up. He endures a great deal of hardship, gets knocked down numerous times, yet always discovers the strength to stand back up. The champion, impressed and frustrated by Ben's determination, eventually admits defeat to the Thing. The victory is not about physical strength, but about an unbreakable spirit. The Thing has fought against very powerful enemies like the Silver Surfer, who can control energy and matter, Namor, the King of Atlantis, who has superhuman strength and can breathe underwater, Thor, the God of Thunder, who can summon lightning and wields the strong hammer Mjolnir, and Thanos, who is one of the toughest villains in the Marvel Universe, with or without the Infinity Gauntlet. Ben Grimm's ability to survive these battles shows his great toughness, bravery, and determination not to give up. His fights are less about winning and more about fighting hard. Even when faced with huge hurdles, Ben's persistence makes him a symbol of hope and endurance. Happened to the Thing in Secret Wars 2015. In Secret Wars 2015, Ben Grimm plays an important role during the major events led by God Emperor Doom. After the multiverse is destroyed, Dr. Doom takes pieces from different realities and creates a new planet called Battle World. To protect this world from dangerous areas, like the Deadlands, which is home to Marvel's zombies, Doom builds a large, sentient wall known as the Shield. This shield is actually a transformed version of Ben Grimm, who has agreed to merge with it to keep the people of Battleworld safe. Thanos, who is locked in the shield's detention level, reaches out to Ben and tells him the truth about how Battleworld was created and how Doom deceived them. Angry about the lies and manipulation, Ben decides to reject God Emperor Doom. He tears away a large part of the shield and heads towards Doomstadt to confront Doom. After defeating Doom and restoring the multiverse, Ben stays on Earth 616. His memories are changed, so he believes his family is dead. This causes the Fantastic Four to break up, and Ben ends up joining the Guardians of the Galaxy. Has Ben Grimm ever been involved with the Guardians of the Galaxy? After the Secret Wars in 2015, Ben Grimm joined the Guardians of the Galaxy since the Fantastic Four had kinda split up for a bit. This was a big change for him, as he was coping with thinking his family was lost and was looking for something new to focus on. After the events of Secret Wars, Reed Richards and Sue Storm helped rebuild the multiverse, so for some time, the Fantastic Four was disbanded. To protect himself and Sue from Doom's possible revenge, Reed changed the memories of Ben and Johnny, making them think Reed and Sue were dead. Ben, who believed he was the last survivor of his family, felt lost and looked for a new purpose in life. This led him to join Star-Lord's Guardians of the Galaxy. With his incredible strength and combat experience, Ben became the muscle of the team during their cosmic adventures, often clashing with interstellar threats and numerous spacefaring missions. Joining the Guardians gave him a sense of belonging after losing his family, and he formed strong bonds with Star-Lord and Rocket Raccoon. In different comic stories, Ben's strength helped protect innocent people, and he was seen fighting hard to keep them safe. In fact, Ben's time with the Guardians gave him a chance to dive into different sides of himself, like his skills as a leader and his ability to make friends and find support beyond his usual family circle. What was the Trial of Ben Grimm, and why was it important? Issues 350 and 352 of the Fantastic Four are an important storyline for Ben Grimm, who is put on trial for causing the death of a supervillain during a battle. The details of the situation and the enemy in play are crucial for the story, but the main focus is on what Ben does and whether his choices were right or wrong. So what actually happens? In Fantastic Four number 350, Dr. Doom is back again to take what really belongs to him, his kingdom, Latveria, from his ward Kristoff, who thinks he is the true Doom. The issue starts with an army of Doombots striking Castle Doom. This distraction allows the real Dr. Doom to deal with Kristoff. Sharon Ventura, who transformed into the she-thing, wants to return to her human form. Ben Grimm tries to comfort Sharon while wearing his exoskeleton, but she pushes him away. Later, Sharon agrees to meet with Doom, who promises to transform her back into a human. While Doom succeeds in curing Sharon, Ben exposes himself to cosmic rays, hoping it will help him connect better with Sharon. With the bait secure, Doom sends a messenger to the Fantastic Four, offering them a chance to come to Latveria if they want their team member to be safe. Doom then traps the Fantastic Four in Latveria and challenges Reed Richards to a time-traveling duel using null-time sequencers. Ben Grimm has transformed into the Thing, but instead of a rocky exterior, he changes into a spikier and more monstrous version of the Thing. The story continues in number 352, where Reed and Dr. Doom battle across time because of the null-time sequencers. Ben Grimm returns to his normal, rocky form after his temporary spiky mutation in number 350. The story features a non-linear format, as Doom and Reed jump through time while the rest of the Fantastic Four handle the aftermath in the regular timeline. Reed eventually outsmarts Doom and brings them back to the present. However, their fight is interrupted by the Time Variance Authority, TVA, which arrests the Fantastic Four for crimes against time synchronicity and teleports them to the null time zone. When Doom tries to argue, he gets blasted by TVA agents. But to our surprise, it was actually Kristoff disguised as Doom, while the real Doom escapes and comes to the conclusion that the null-time sequencer is dangerous and destroys it. When the trial occurs, it delves into Ben's inner struggles with guilt, responsibility, and human identity as a superhero. He grapples with the difficult question of whether it's right to take a life, even when he's protecting others, and he wonders about his role in what happened. The story highlights the heavy mental burden that heroes like Ben carry. They often deal with life or death situations and make quick decisions that can lead to serious consequences. It reminds us that, despite his incredible power, Ben is still a human being with feelings and the ability to feel regret. The trial raises important questions about superhero actions and their limits. It shows that there are some things you just shouldn't cross when it comes to morals. Ben Grimm might seem tough and have his angry moments, but he definitely knows what's right and wrong and really cares about justice. The storyline also highlights that despite Ben's monstrous appearance, he's often more ethical and responsible than many human characters, suggesting true heroism isn't based on looks. It emphasizes his commitment to doing what's right amid judgment and scrutiny. Why is the Thing so iconic in Marvel's history? Ben Grimm as the Thing is a cornerstone of Marvel Comics' legacy and an iconic superhero for several reasons. Firstly, his transformation into the Thing challenges the traditional image of a superhero who has their unique charm. We can say, he is a superhero who didn't look like a superhero, more like an anomaly because of his rocky, monstrous appearance. The Thing actually created the archetype that even giant rock monstrous beings can be part of a superhero team, proving that heroes could come in unexpected and even frightening forms. The Thing's physical transformation represents a curse and a superpower, highlighting that great power often comes with a personal cost. His struggle for self-acceptance and the constant feeling of being an outcast make him relatable to those who struggle with self-image. Beneath his rugged exterior, the Thing is loyal, kind-hearted, and courageous, showing that true heroism can take many forms. Not to mention, the legendary Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, well-known faces in the comic book scene, collaborated together to create the Fantastic Four comic series and its awesome characters. What's more interesting is that Kirby used his own experiences from growing up on the tough streets of the Lower East Side to create the Thing's background and character. He was part of a street gang and faced the loss of his older brother. The Yancey Street Gang in the comics often plays pranks on Ben. This gang reflects the neighborhood experiences of Kirby, which adds a tough, streetwise element to Ben's character. Even the famous catchphrase, "It's clobberin' time," has gone way beyond its comic book roots and is now a well-known cultural reference. You'll see it pop up in all kinds of media, and even hear people like pro wrestler CM Punk using it. It's turned into a rallying cry for anyone who's ready to fight, tackle challenges, and push through tough times. Marvelous verdict. With that, we've wrapped up everything we know about the Thing from Fantastic Four. And that was quite the deep dive on Marvel's most underrated character. What is that one thing about Ben Grimm that struck a chord with you all? Excited about the new Fantastic Four First Steps movie? Don't forget to share them in the comment section below. If you have new inputs about our big guy, do share them as well. That's all from our side, folks. Until we meet again with yet another video. Take care and stay safe. Thanks for watching.